This one's tough, girl.
It is. I think the series is going to be really hard to cover.
Yeah,
but it's
we're doing it sporadically.
Yeah, we're going to sprinkle it in on the regular feed.
Okay.
But goddamn, are these women amazing?
They are amazing. Speaking of amazing women, hi, Jillian Pensavalle.
Oh my God. Hello, fellow amazing woman, Patrick Hines.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored just to be nominated.
Oh, me too.
Hi, girl. How's it going?
You know what? We're surrounded by amazing, powerful women today, so I'm feeling really good to go.
All right, we aren't going to tell the people what we're going to be for Drag Bingo on the 23rd, but we did just tell each other.
Because it's spooky season. It's Halloween.
Spooky season. So we're dressing up. If you don't know, fam, we do Drag Bingo once a month for Patreon at the 5 and above. We are doing the next one on the 23rd, and it's come in costume if you want to, but no pressure.
Yeah, you don't even have to turn your camera on.
No, but our costumes are pretty good.
I have to say, our costumes, I'm not saying anything other than they're both very on brand for each of us. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I will leave it at that.
Mine came yesterday. I tried it on. I'm very excited. I can't wait to share the film. So if you want to play Drag Bingo, just join us over in the Patreon at the $5 level.
Yeah.
And just go to patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed or go to our website, click on the Patreon link.
Yeah.
And you also get 450 full ad-free bonus episodes when you get there.
Right. You get a lot. It's a party.
What I mean? Yeah.
It's a huge
What
party.
are we doing right now? What are we covering?
We're doing The Man with 1,000 Kids.
Oh, wild. We did the Cult of Mother God.
Yeah. And also Mastermind about Ann Burgess, who I'm obsessed with.
Yeah, she's the lady who changed the FBI.
She's amazing.
For the better.
Again, surrounded by amazing women today.
Yes. Well, all right. Tell the people, what are we talking about today?
So this is that show on Netflix, Worst Ex Ever.
Yeah.
We did Worst Roommate Ever on the Pates last year.
Yeah.
We're also going to be we're sprinkling in Worst Ex Ever, and we're also going to be sprinkling in season 2 of Worst Roommate Ever on the regular feed. Did you watch the first episode of that?
No.
I was almost killed by my BFF or something it's
Oh
called.
my God.
Horrifying.
I've been watching the new Netflix show, Eric, starring Benjamin Cumberbatch and Gabby Hoffman, and it's really good.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
What did I call him?
Benjamin. You're not the first, and you won't be the last.
And it's a fake name. That's not his real name.
Benedict Cumberbatch. He's the one
He
time.
literally was what's the most weird, interesting name I could come up with? And that's what it is. His name is
Great.
Jonathan.
Okay.
Screw you, Cumberbatch.
So I go around to the back door, and I hear...
Justine! Oh my God, she's screaming.
After the first time she screamed, I hear bang, bang, bang. And I'm thinking it's her, hitting the walls, wanting me to hurry up. And then I'm trying to get the door open. I can't get it open, and I'm trying to kick it open. And then she screamed again, and then I hear bang, bang, bang again. And the most god-awful scream you've ever heard in your life.
Ambulance is coming, honey.
The garage door's open, and I'm like, what the hell? How did I miss that?
Justine!
So I start to sprint into her house, and Ben Foster comes out. And I'm like,
what the fuck is going on?
You're inside now?
Oh, she is? He said she's having a heart attack. Why didn't you fucking have an ambulance coming?
He says, why don't you go in there and get her, and I'll get the car ready, and we'll take her to the hospital.
Okay, so what's going on there?
The guy's taking off over here. Justine?
All right, girl. So we open with a truly horrifying 911 call, which I guess we need merch for at this point.
I mean... that word, the phrase, truly horrifying.
We literally
open.
say it every single
open
episode.
With, I know.
We open with a truly horrifying 911
yeah.
call.
I'm going to vote no on that merch.
Okay. You know, as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, I don't think that's going to make a good... No.
Do you know I got served an ad for, again, this is not an ad, but from the NBC store. They have a mug that just says the words especially heinous on it, which is a reference to the SVU opening. Sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. Why on earth would you want a mug that says especially heinous? Mike was like, do you see this shit?
Is
I'm like,
weird.
That is especially heinous. Who is buying that mug?
That's really
Does
bad.
that mean you're a sex offender? I don't like it.
And definitely, yeah, I'm going to strike my idea from the record.
Wonderful.
We'll just move on.
Angie Milner sits down and she listens to a 911 call that she made.
And she's hearing it for the first time.
And because this all took place, this 911 call happened in 2023, we have the 911 call and the body cam footage.
Yes.
So we're hearing her and we're also seeing it in real time. It's really wild.
Essentially, this woman, her friend Justine, has called Angie's mother. Angie called her and was like, there's something wrong with Justine. Call 911, get over to Justine's house, see what is going on. So Angie's on the phone in the car trying to figure out what's going on. She gets to Justine's house The doors are locked. The doors are never locked.
Oh, my God.
She goes around back. She hears this screaming and banging. She can't get in. She goes back around to the front where the garage door is now opening.
But like out of a movie. So
Yeah.
Angie's like banging on the door. She's like, Justine, are you there? Like, what's going on? She doesn't hear anything. She can't get into the house. It's like eerily quiet.
Yeah.
Until she goes around the back of the house. Angie hears Justine screaming. And I'm like, this piece of shit is choking her.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself.
I know.
So like Justine is screaming. Angie, who called 911, hears banging on the walls. Like Justine is like saying like, hurry your ass up here, girl. Like, I need you. Please help me. Now, I'm like, where the fuck are the cops? She called them 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Why aren't they here? So Angie is screaming to Justine that help is coming. Like Angie's like, girl, I'm here. The cops are on their way. Angie runs to the front of the house and like a horror movie, out of nowhere, the garage door is suddenly open. And Angie's like, I'm like, what the hell?
And
How did I miss that?
the confusion on Angie's face, even in retelling the story, is like, wait, what is going on?
Because she's like, it wasn't open when I got there because I would have ran in through the garage. So suddenly she's like, who, like, so there's like an entity who's like aware that she, like, it's out of a horror movie. Then Angie like runs into the garage and Ben Foster comes out. Not the actor, Ben Foster.
Oh, who's that?
He was in Freaks and Geeks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
whatever. So not him, but this guy, piece of shit's name is Ben Foster.
Yeah.
And we hear this entire exchange on the 911 call of Angie and the piece of shit. Angie just goes, what the fuck?
Yes.
Ben lies and says, oh, Justine is having a heart attack. And Angie's like, okay, then why am I the one calling 911? Like, what is going on?
And he tells her,
He says, why don't you go in there and get her and I'll get the car ready and we'll take her to the hospital.
Okay, so what's going on there?
The guy's taken off that was here. Justine?
Angie walks into this harrowing scene. There's a fucking noose around
her
Justine's
and
neck.
She hears this guy take off in the car. She says to 911, like, the guy that just came out of the house.
Where is
took
911?
off.
It feels like this has been 10 hours. Where are they? And Angie, oh my God, is comforting Justine, like telling her she's not alone. Like, I gotta tell you,
but we don't know how long. Like, she's in and out of consciousness. She's like not really awake. She had a noose tied around her neck. Like,
there are bruises all over Justine. There's blood everywhere. Like, like hearing Angie comfort her. I just like this was a really, really tough one.
So we'll get back to this story later.
Yeah. We meet some of the cops who showed up, right? Because this is January 24th, 2023 in Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yeah.
So we meet like Lieutenant Jeff and we see all the body cam stuff.
Body cam is like a major part of this. A lot of what the information we're gonna get throughout this is from body cam.
And the 911 call. Because we hear Angie say, please hurry. This crazy psycho guy has done this in Vegas before here. I know who he is. He's got a bad record for beating people up.
Yeah.
And it's just really like, it's horrifying.
And Detective Jeff walks in. He says, I've been in law enforcement for 33 years. I've seen very few scenes as horrific and terrible as this one.
And Angie, the friend, the hero right here, recently met this boyfriend.
Yes.
She's like, I just met him a few days ago. The only thing she remembers about him, she goes, he has this like weird little ponytail that fucking gives me the ick. But she says like, because of Angie, the cops are learning he is violent, he is abusive, he is evil. There's a record of it. We need to get this guy now.
Yeah, and Detective Jeff says it was obvious that Justine had been tortured and hurt bad. Like he says tortured.
Tortured. So that's 2023. Now we're going to go to Vegas. It's June 2012.
Yes.
And we meet Amber.
Amber's incredible. She says there was a time when she thought...
At one point, I did think that Ben could have been the one for me. It's hard to pinpoint the emotions that you feel when, you know, you love someone and unfortunately, this person could have killed you.
But it's how it always starts. They're always beautiful and charming on, for week one.
That's the point.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So Amber, again, all these women are amazing. She met this guy in Vegas. They were working at the same hotel. He was a barback. She was a server.
Can I just say they were working at a day club? I was like, I have to worry about day clubs now. Like, just the existence of nightclubs isn't bad enough.
Vegas, baby.
I gotta know that day
It's
clubs
like an airport. Like, time does not matter. Time is a construct. It does not matter.
A day club?
A day club. Like, for the pool, it's a whole thing.
Oh, God.
It may not be your thing, but it's a thing.
I went to Vegas one time, had not a good time.
I don't know. Like, Vegas, if you do it right,
I know.
It could be a pretty good 48 to 72 hours.
I agree.
It's really fun.
I would like to experience it with you, but I would also like our husbands to be there.
Sure, you have to. I know I sound like whatever, but it's hydration.
Yeah.
Hydration is a major, major part of it.
I do like that you can get drinks outside and walk around outside with cocktails. I really like that. I think that's a great thing.
It's a great great thing. You need to have so much water because it sneaks up on you. You're like, oh, it's a dry heat. Meanwhile, like that's why people can't handle Vegas.
Anyway, moving on.
So
he was a barback. She was a server.
She's like, Amber was like, I wasn't looking for a relationship really, but that's kind of what it turned into.
But like, he's got, like, we were covering this on the Patreon right now with the man with 1,000 kids. I wasn't really looking for a boyfriend, but he was cute. He was tall. He was athletic, had ice blue eyes and long hair.
And like everything was great at first.
Yes.
Like, you know, he was sweet. He was leaving her love notes.
We had a normal relationship. We would go on dinner dates, go to Disneyland, you know, hang out with all of our friends. But Ben was just not very comfortable around people. Like, he's a very like lone wolf kind of person, very closed off.
Ben was controlling and jealous, but what he would do
yes.
is hide it by saying that, quote, he doesn't like being around people. That's not what it is. He doesn't want Amber to be around people.
So imagine, we see pictures of them out to dinner with their friends, and it's like him sitting on the other side of Amber and Amber looking away from him to talk to people because he doesn't want to.
So like the night would always end early probably, or there'd be some excuse, or it would be like, okay, why don't you just go? And then it would be like
how long
tension.
do we have to stay before they even get there?
So so no, he was
She describes him, she says he was more of a lone wolf, which is just like, there's something predatory about that language.
But like, not all lone wolves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't weaponize it and use it as like, either you don't want, like, he just doesn't want her around anybody.
Exactly.
Because Amber was in touch with her ex, and her ex is not from this country.
Yeah.
She was helping him get like a visa and documents, and this ex is engaged to somebody else. Like, Amber is being a good friend, helping him with visa documents. Some of the most boring shit in the world.
Yep.
The problem with that is that, one, not only is she in touch with her ex, a guy like Ben cannot handle that at all.
Yeah.
But she's also helping him with something important and something that doesn't have to do with Ben.
Yes.
Like, that's a major problem for him. It's not going to end well.
And also, Amber says, I think he was projecting because I would find out later that he was, during this entire time that he was jealous of my ex-boyfriend, he was seeing his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that train's never late.
Never late.
Never. So also, just a thing about Ben.
He had a very intense passion for guns and knives and martial arts. He would get new knives every week, new guns. We would go to gun shows every weekend. It was an obsession.
He was getting new knives and guns every single week.
Now, is this a red flag or is this normal for some people?
My thing is, I think there are people who really like, wow, here's an old weapon from the whatever.
And that is very interesting.
And then it lives on a shelf behind glass.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
This guy, again, it's like, I'm a loner. No, you just don't want Amber around people. Oh, I'm a collector. Yeah, that's the ticket. No. You just want to be holding deadly weapons.
Yes.
Like, you're not an actual collector or a responsible gun owner.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're just using this as an excuse to just hold dangerous things in your hands and threaten people and kill people.
And also to sort of like kidding on the square, let Amber know who's the boss. Because Amber describes it. He had a practice knife where he would, quote, mess around.
What the fuck is a practice knife?
Practice knife. He would pretend, she says, and I quote, he would pretend to slit my throat in a really playful way. But you can hear the way her voice changes when she says it.
Right. And she's like, well, at the time, she kind of didn't allow herself to see it as alarming. But of course, looking back, knowing what we know now.
I mean, I just like when you see like people, you see like young boys or men like play fighting with their girlfriends, and it like shit like that just always makes me so uncomfortable.
What makes me really uncomfortable is the things on TikTok where it's like, this is my boyfriend and my best friend. And they're like all over each other. And it's like, girl, 2 foxes in the hen house, girl. Like, what? Have you ever seen those videos where
like
it's like
the boys are all over each other?
No, the boys and like my best girlfriend is Mike and my best girlfriend are all over each other. And then it's like, isn't this so great? They get along so well. And then the stitch is always like, who's going to tell her? Like, that's not good. Or like the bridesmaids are being like, here's my husband with my maid of honor. And it's like, what?
TikTok is wild. Wild.
It's a whole thing.
She thought it was vodka. She didn't know it was tequila.
I thought it was a lemon drop. I didn't know it was tequila.
All she wants is Wingstop. She worked 10 hours. All she wants is Wingstop.
I missed the Wingstop thing, I think.
Oh, I
wasn't
Justice
there.
for Squid. I lived for it. Like,
do you know what's been on my For You page? They're eating the dogs, eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. And then there's like, it's in my head. all day
Oh my
long.
God.
So, okay, November 2014, they're together 2 years.
Amber and
Ben. And
Yeah.
they get into a fight. And this is this is a bad relationship based on what Amber has told us. But it's really bad also because they're not good at fighting.
Right.
So, like, Ben is being a tense nightmare, as he always is.
She describes him as fidgety and shifty. I was like, is he on drugs?
Yeah, he's being sort of, I don't want to diagnose him, but like manic. I mean, he's very agitated.
Yes.
And Amber is pushing his buttons.
Yeah.
And so Amber, like, admittedly, she's like,
Me being the person that I am and trying to push his buttons, I told him that I threw away a brand new gun that he just bought. And then he pushed me down and he hit me, slapped me, a pretty hard open hand slap. Like he was in a blind rage. Like you could see it in his eyes.
He immediately slaps her and throws her down on the floor. She describes him as being in a blind rage. She says you could see in his eyes that he was not the same person that I was in love with. He was a stranger.
right. And like this had been brewing for quite some time. And like they can't hide who they are forever. Eventually
course.
the mask slips.
Like 2 years, you know what I mean? Like, is this the first time he hit her? Like, Jesus, you know?
I mean, she says it's the first time he got violent with her, but I think that, but if they were fighting and she had so much rage towards him that she's like pushing his buttons, this wasn't good for a really long time.
Of course, yeah, yeah. But she grabs her keys and she gets out of there. She calls the police right away. The cops take her back to the apartment where they cuff him and put him in jail.
Yeah, yeah. So the cops here suck, but they did one right thing, I guess, for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We got on-screen text that this guy was ordered to attend domestic violence counseling and perform community service. I doubt he did that.
Of course. And within a few months, he's out of jail.
Yeah. Amber has broken up with him officially.
Yes.
But this guy is now stalking her.
Unbeknownst to her.
Right. I mean, which is usually, that's kind of how it starts now.
I guess.
Right?
Oh, God.
I mean, it doesn't always, but I mean, she is just whatever. So it's September 2015. And remember, she's in Vegas. So it's like a really rainy day. She was like, it was a super rainy fall afternoon. She's going to like get her pumpkin spice latte, watch football with her friends, like have a real fall day.
Yeah.
But she needs a jacket. It's raining. It barely rains in Vegas. So or does it rain in Vegas all the time? I'm sorry. I didn't look up the rainfall. I'm so sorry.
Think so. I don't think it does.
I don't know. But so she gets home to get her jacket. And who is there waiting outside for her? Ben, this fucking creep.
Which, like, jump scare, fucking terrifying. He's screaming and yelling at her, banging on her car, trying to get her to get out of the car. She won't. She's insisting that he leave, and he does.
He gets in his car and drives away.
And she waits 15 minutes, she says.
Before she goes into the house.
Yeah.
And so she walks into her closet to get her jacket. And while she thinks she's alone, she's just running to get her jacket and meet her friends. Ben attacks her. This guy somehow in that 15 minutes, like, took the long way around and broke into her house.
And without her noticing.
So that he can ambush her.
Right. Hide in a closet. Like, and when you're Amber, when you're anybody, and again, I don't know, but like, you can't imagine this is going to happen.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Nobody imagines that, like, your fucking ex-boyfriend's going to be hiding in the closet.
No, to violently attack you.
Yeah.
Because Amber describes what happens, and it's horrifying.
I'm just kind of like a rag doll at this point. He is dragging me on the floor. He goes to slice my face. I put my hand up, and he almost slices this pinky all the way off. I'm bleeding all over myself, and I am just thinking that this is probably going to be the day that I die.
He likes his weapons, so he has knives on him, and he takes a knife out and goes to slice her face.
Now, I believe he would have done that because what he wants to do is, quote, make her not pretty. We're going to see him do that again to other people.
To control.
Like, she puts her hand up, thank the Lord, and she says he almost sliced my pinky off.
Yeah. So Amber is on the floor bleeding, laying there, and she tells us, she's like, this is it. She's thinking in that moment,
this is how I'm
going to die. Like, this is it.
But he pulls her into the garage.
Yeah, and the violence continues.
She says he's wailing on her. Like, I'm sorry to, like, this is really hard to say. I'm sure it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
He is beating on this woman, just relentlessly.
Right. And for what again?
But I was saying this to you when you walked in today. It was like the only thing on my mind. What does he get out of this? I will just never understand violence like this.
Like, you get it, like, cerebrally, but you don't, like, you could just obviously never relate to it.
I don't understand, like, this poor woman who's just on the ground, like, she's already basically unconscious, like, but you're still hitting her. Like, like, when you watch a documentary like this and you're not that kind of person, like, these are the things that stay with you.
Sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So for some reason, thank God, he gets up off her. He's just, and Amber makes a run for it. I don't know if he's going to get some other weapon. I don't know, but Amber takes this opportunity and she runs.
She says she army crawled out into the rain and then took off running.
Now, Amber is covered in blood. She has a ton of injuries and defense wounds.
Yes.
The leasing office of her condo is right there. So she goes right there for help. They call the police. The police get there in the time that Amber has escaped, gone to the condo office, called the cops for help, and the cops arriving.
And at this point, Ben cleaned everything up. He cut his own face, told the police that I cut his face, and that I instigated the incident. That's when they came back to the leasing office and they put me in handcuffs.
They arrest her.
She goes, that's when they came back to the leasing office and put me in handcuffs. I said, I'm sorry, what?
Now, here's the thing that, like, and Amber is, like, explaining this plain as day. It's not that she's not explaining it well. It's that my brain can't make it make sense.
Right.
These cops refuse to even look into this guy.
This guy has a record.
I mean, he's been to prison in Vegas.
He
Like,
broke into her home. Amber's covered in blood. Her pinky is almost completely severed off. She has defensive wounds all over her.
Yes.
And Amber says, the cops never listened to me. They never wanted to listen. Put her in handcuffs, shoved her in the back of a cop car, and took her to jail. I cannot.
I mean, it's unconscionable. I can't. And, like, to be this woman who's just been so violently attacked, trying to explain, just look the guy up, get on the police book and put his name in, you'll see that he went to prison for beating me up the first time.
Like, she was stalked.
Yeah.
She was attacked. She got away. She asked for help. Then she spends 18 hours in jail. Like, did they give her medical attention? They certainly didn't look this guy's name up in the police Google. Did they tend to her finger in any way? Ask her if she's okay? Give her a fucking cup of water?
She says that, like, thank God for this hero judge who, quote, did a little bit of digging and saw Ben's previous charges and dismissed the charges against her.
But no charges against Ben?
But no charges against Ben.
And also, like, I just don't understand how you can see someone in Amber's condition and not listen to her. And I just think it needs to be said, like, Amber is black. And I'm wondering if it's that blatant.
I mean,
that
like,
that's how racist they are. I mean, but they don't listen to any woman in this documentary.
I mean, maybe
either.
they just, like, legitimately don't care.
Yeah.
Because it would have taken.
I'm not discounting the racism. I'm sorry.
Of
I didn't
course.
mean that to sound flippant. Like, they don't listen to any women here. But hearing Amber's story, it's just like, I'm sorry. So the white guy in the room doesn't even get any charge. Like, what the fuck?
And it's not like it's the first time that she would have to convince them that he's the kind of guy that would do this. Like, there's evidence right there in their own database.
And while you're at it, did he do that community service? I promise you he didn't.
Totally.
Like,
no.
So, the charges were dropped against her, but nothing was pressed against. I don't understand.
And not only that, she gets home to discover
he had stolen all of my belongings. I have no clothes, absolutely no clothes, not even underwear. All of my personal things, like my birth certificate, my social security card, he literally took everything.
Left her with nothing. Like, cannot stress it enough. Left her with nothing. So, like, see what happens when you try to leave me, or now you're beaten to shit. No one believes you, and you have to start over.
Exactly.
Like, this is what he's doing. So now it's September 2017. Okay. We meet Jamie.
But who do we really meet?
We meet her dog, Maya.
Okay.
As described by Jamie, she's a little Shih Tzu with a cute, sassy personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jamie, okay. You know how people say that dogs are sometimes like a reflection of their human?
Of their person? Uh-huh.
Jamie, please take this as the compliment it is. You and Maya are twins. Yeah. You're the spitting image of each other. Because when she's she's a Shih Tzu with a cute, little sassy personality. I'm like, Jamie, you are Maya, both of you.
Know. No, it's
like,
true.
Maya's in a cute outfit. Jamie's in a cute
Maya's
outfit.
got the pink little hair.
Like, they are, like, Jamie, that's a compliment. You two are the spitting image of each other. You are twins. I can't tell you apart.
No, Jamie loves the compliment. She loves it.
Loves it. So now Jamie was in a relationship with Ben.
Kind of. They were friends, and he, like, loved her dog, and they spent time together.
And he was super kind to Maya the dog. Really, really took care of her. Like, Jamie really stresses that a lot.
And you know what? The dog is fine. We should say
the dog's
that
fine.
because
she's with Jamie.
I was very afraid that he was going to do something horrible to the dog at some point, but he doesn't.
Me too.
Yeah.
So Jamie and Ben met doing Krav Maga, which is, like, super fucking badass.
What the hell is that?
I mean, Jamie describes it as this combative mixed martial arts.
She's it's not like Kung Fu. It's much more violent.
It's not about so much the discipline. Like, karate is very much like the discipline, and you go through the belts, and it's part of that. Krav Maga is more, like Jamie says, it's just a little bit more about, like, winning the fucking fight.
Like combat.
A little bit.
Oh my God. How do you know about it?
Because I did Muay Thai for a while.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So anyway, Jamie says That's how they met. So again, like, I'm guessing that Jamie and Ben are in the Krav Maga class for two very different reasons.
Yes.
Jamie's there to defend herself from men like Ben, and Ben is there to
learn how to beat people
up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not all men, I'm just saying, whatever the fuck. So, like, I don't want to hear from someone's fucking boyfriend.
I know.
Give me a break.
I know. We're all in the shower with them. The boyfriends can vaguely hear us. I hear it every time I go out and I meet the listeners.
Yeah.
The boyfriend's always like, oh, you're the voice I hear in the shower every morning.
Good reminder, if it doesn't apply to you, leave it alone. And I'm talking to you. Remember the tugboat captain? If you're a tugboat captain, good for you. But if you're this particular one, I don't like you.
Exactly. Correct.
So if you're Ben, I hate you. If you do Krav Maga, good for you.
Also, if we're in the shower with you, good morning.
Good morning or at night. I love a nighttime shower. Oh my God. Is it an everything shower, girly? What is he doing? What's the routine?
Is it a steam shower?
What's the routine? Love a good everything shower. It's exhausting, however.
What's an everything shower?
It's exactly what you think it is.
Like you do everything.
You're doing everything. You're doing the hair. You're doing
shaving the legs.
Oh yeah.
If you do that,
shaving whatever you need to shave. If it's like everything. It's
Boys,
your whole day.
I gotta tell
you, face mask if you do it, then you get the oil after. It's a whole thing.
I have it so easy. I get in, I soap up, I wash my hair, I get out.
Yeah, you're not even going through the drying of the hair.
I know.
After the everything shower.
I sometimes don't even make it all the way through one Taylor song in the shower.
That's insane.
One song.
That's insane.
They're not even that long.
Insane.
I know. Then fast forward to 300 takeout coffees later.
Oh my God.
At least she had
the
decency to keep her nights out of sight. No.
You don't know the blue dress on a boat? Okay.
We all know you're the
school will be in
real
session
Swiftie.
later.
All right.
So Jamie says, like, look, Ben was, fine enough. He came from a good family. She thought that's what she.
We're gonna hear his parents for like 20 seconds at one point in this thing. I have got some questions for them.
Someone calls them helpful, and I'm like, well, they're not helpful.
But
I don't know.
Here's my question: like, he's an incredibly violent person.
Yeah, he's also a liar. So everything he told her is bullshit.
That's true.
Right? Like,
yes, yeah. But she says, like, he was planning to get into law enforcement. He wasn't into drugs. He didn't really drink.
Whatever.
On paper, he seemed like a solid
Whatever.
person.
What does he go to church to? I don't give a shit. Bad people do bad things. You know what I mean?
Also, drinking is fine if it works for you.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But they were like kind of together, but it wasn't that serious. And Jamie says to us, like, he'll never admit it, but I knew he was seeing other people.
Yeah.
But Jamie's like, girl, same. Like, she wasn't trying to be exclusive.
No,
Calm
she was
down.
like, so sometimes I'd see him a couple times a week. Sometimes I wouldn't.
Yeah, and she says,
but when he did come by, Ben didn't always seem present. He's there physically, but you don't really know what he's thinking about. And I felt like he spent a lot of time thinking of his exes. Turned out he was.
usually thinking about his exes. Now, Amber, who we just left, confirms this because while Ben and Jamie are having their situationship or casual whatever, Ben is texting Amber.
Yeah. And she says, she gets like a novel of a text
from
him.
She goes, I got a text from Ben. It's a novel.
It's a novel.
I've changed. I'm in therapy. Blah, blah, blah.
He wanted to have a face-to-face conversation for closure. I was like, are you going to bring her birth certificate back with you, bitch?
Oh, yeah, social security card.
Just bring the social security card when you meet her for dinner. How about that, girl? Oh, my God.
Now, so Amber agrees to meet, and she smartly does it at a restaurant, a public place. And Ben apologizes. You know, Amber's the love of his life. And it's like, I mean, like, you should fucking be so lucky to get a 5-minute conversation with Amber. I know. She's awesome.
And she just says, like, she's got empathy. She feels bad for him. She wanted to be there for him as a friend. And they start, like, texting and hanging out again.
Yeah, and she says on a regular basis. And she says, like, look, I felt bad for him. It was like Stockholm Syndrome. This happens all the time. Yeah. Like, I get it. He's good at this. He's a good manipulator.
Yeah.
She felt he was sorry. And of course, like, she spent 2 years with him.
And maybe it's like denial. Like, maybe you don't want to be a person who was beaten by your boyfriend.
It's a trauma response.
100%.
Of just, you know, it's a kind of trauma response. So I'm not like begrudging. Like, you know, Amber's awesome.
We're sitting over here wishing she hadn't done it, but we totally understand why.
Right. And hearing her explain it, she's like, I did it. And we started texting. Like, what do you want? So Amber and Ben, they start texting. They're hanging out again. Amber says, like, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So it's Christmas Eve 2017. They are together on Christmas Eve.
But they're just friends, is my understanding.
Sure.
You know?
They're just like spending, I don't know where their families
they're hanging
are.
Out.
Hanging out.
She says that she like leaves her cell phone on the coffee table to go to change, and she comes back out and doesn't see Ben.
Ben is about to prove that absolutely nothing has changed. She leaves her phone unattended for 2.5 seconds.
Yes.
He's back to it. I mean, this is why he was trying to get into her good graces again.
Yes.
So Amber's out of the room. Her phone rings in front of Ben.
And when I come back, I don't see Ben on the couch. Ben comes from around the corner in my kitchen and starts strangling me. He takes me down to the couch and strangles me until I'm unconscious.
He strangles her until she's unconscious.
She wakes up and he just leaves her there.
Yeah.
She wakes up, thank God, to this guy violently destroying her place.
She's like punching the walls.
Again, like if he can't live in the place with her, then it has to be destroyed.
Yes.
So yelling into the void, pacing, seething, like not a human being at all. Just like, so Amber though, once again, sees her chance to leave and she takes it. She runs out of her own back door, jumps off the first floor balcony.
Yeah.
She flags down the first car she sees. Thank God it's a woman with a dog.
I know. They will save us all.
And she
they will save us all.
She said, that woman let me in. Amber had no shoes on. Amber says she was so helpful. She was so amazing. And she 1,000% saved my life. And I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
So
I know.
Amber, again.
We hear the 911 call.
Amber is in this woman's car and she's like, hi. And she's as cool as a cucumber. Like she's just saying because she's been through this before. She's hoping that this time the cops get it right.
And the cops kind of do. Like they come to her. They take her back to the apartment. One of the cops says to her, you can never see this person again.
Yeah.
He almost took you away from your family the day before Christmas. You can never see him again.
The officer says there is no apology that is worth your life. Like you have to run. Because Amber says, my ex attacked me. I'm in a stranger's car. I have no shoes on. And this isn't the first time.
Yeah.
Ben goes to jail again. The state presses charges. Now, there was supposed to be a trial, but everyone just sort of forgot to show up to work for the last 6 months.
It's unbelievable.
No urgency. No one gave a shit. The piece of shit is out in the world.
Yeah.
Amber is living in fear. Imagine the toll that takes. This has been years of her life being in fear of this person.
And she describes like she's constantly looking over her shoulder. Like this guy could pop out of the closet at any fucking moment.
He's done it before.
Yes.
Like it's really, I mean,
he doesn't care.
It's unbelievable. Like it's crazy. Now, September 2018, we're back to Jamie and Maya the dog.
Yeah.
They've known Ben for like a year and a half, right? Like as they're hanging out, everything with Amber's going on simultaneously.
Exactly.
Because now we're going to hear what's going on from Jamie's perspective.
Right.
Based on like the lies that Ben told her, I guess.
Yes.
So they've known each other for a year and a half. Ben lost his job. He lost the apartment. And Jamie and Maya let this guy move in with them.
Like he couldn't pay his rent. He couldn't pay his bills. And my thing is, did they let him or did he just show up and not leave?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Jamie was like, Maya and I talked about it,
right.
and, which is like a thing that happens.
Yeah.
But Jamie says he needed help and I helped him.
Right.
He's good at the sob story.
But
and these are like, nice women. Like they're good people.
And she probably didn't imagine she was going to be helping him forever. You know what I mean? It's like, like any normal person would come and like lick their wounds, get a job and move back out.
And she's only seen the guy who's like really struggling, kind of adrift. Like she hasn't seen the violence yet. She wants to help this guy.
Well, and she says like it was a really hard time. He was always sick. He had terrible anxiety. He couldn't get a job because he couldn't get out of bed.
And eventually she's like, girl, like... real
What's the
talk,
plan, girl?
like, I'll help you, but you have to get your shit together like a little bit.
Yes.
Like you have to actually try to get on your feet. You can't just loaf around all day.
And that's the thing.
Like Maya and I have shit to do.
I would question him about like, well, what's your plan? Like, what are you going to do? I don't mind helping you out, but I can't carry this forever. One day, I was trying to reason with him. He came up from behind me and slammed me on the ground.
He comes up behind her and just slammed her on the ground.
Yeah, and she says that was the first time he ever put his hands on me, which to me is like, okay, she's been trying to, quote, reason with him for a long time. He's been taking advantage of her and her space, and she's finally like, you have to try. What are you doing here?
Right.
Like, you can't just live here and not contribute or pay rent. Like, if you want to get on your feet, then fucking do it.
Be a fucking oaf that's lying in the bed all day because you can't get out of bed.
Right, and like...
He came in and took over her apartment.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you for being nice to my dog and taking out Maya when I'm tired or whatever. Like, that's great, but that's not enough.
Yeah. Correct.
He's a drain on every resource she has. I mean that like internally, you know,
financially,
like she's just a drain.
Yeah. And then she says like beyond the beating her, he now just gets really weird and paranoid. He's convinced people are following him, trying to get him.
And what Jamie says is that Ben just continues to attack her.
Yes.
And Jamie says she doesn't know what to do. This is her apartment, but she's embarrassed to tell her friends that she's sort of like in her mind allowed this to happen.
That to me, like that really took my breath away. She said, I didn't tell my friends because I didn't want them to know I was one of those girls who was with a guy who was beating me. Can we just say, we've said this in so many episodes.
Please.
If you are a person who is suffering domestic violence, tell anybody. Your friends are not going to judge you. Your friends are going to help you. Your boss is going to help you. Like people are going to help you. And we're going to give resources at the end of this episode.
Yes.
And we as people, as friends of people, it's like the Lacey Peterson of it all. Even if we don't know, check in with your friends. Ask how they're, because how people's relationships are private and they don't always tell you the bad things. So we need to be better friends and check in with people, and we need to make it clear to everybody in our lives that you can tell me anything.
Yeah. 100%. Don't be afraid. I understand the fear,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine a scenario where someone texts me that and I go to judgment. No, I say, girl, where are you?
Where are you?
What do you
Yeah,
need? Where
I know.
are you?
I know.
I've said that to like younger cousins in my family. I've said that to, people where it's like, I don't care where you are. If you don't especially if you don't live in Manhattan, if you're just like coming
Dear
in
listener,
or you're whatever.
send me a DM. Like if it's
real.
gotta be me, send me a DM. I will send you all the resources I can think of.
It's like, it's scary out there. Like reach out to people. I promise you, your friends will be there for you.
Yeah.
So now Jamie files a restraining order against this guy, and she meets the cops on the corner down the street from her condo, and they're about to serve him with papers. And here's the following exchange that happens.
This is unreal.
Jamie says,
"What happens if he doesn't answer the door?" They said, "Nothing." I said, well, no, that's my place. He moved his belongings to my place, and I need to get into my place to get some things so I can get myself together for work. I said, well, can you at least escort me into my place so I can get my belongings that I need so I don't get beaten up? No, we don't do that.
I need to get ready for work. So if he's not there, I'm kind of scared he might be there.
Or if he is there and doesn't answer the door.
Yeah, can you just at least make sure it's safe for me to get ready for work so that I can, afford to live?
Yeah.
And the cops go, oh, no, we don't do that. You're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. To which I said, here's my question. Why did you become a cop? Why did you become a cop?
It's supposed to be to protect and serve. And then I'm like, oh, no. I know why you chose to become a fucking cop if you're not going to do anything. It's the power trip and the whatever. So what happens is the cops go to serve this guy the restraining order. This guy, as predicted by Jamie, doesn't answer the door.
He's home, but he doesn't answer the door.
The cops leave the papers on the door, which is also a fucking target on Jamie's back.
Yes.
And then they leave. Now, we need to burn it all down and start over.
Yes.
Because my question is, isn't everything he did to Amber on the record? If you are I want a restraining order against this guy, can you just go to police Google him?
Yeah, especially because it's the same state. It's not like
Vegas.
It's not another even city. It's like a block away.
Right? So can't you see he's attacking other women?
Yes.
And you just don't care? A woman is standing in front of you saying, I feel unsafe, and asking you for help, and you as a police officer look at her and say no and walk away?
We can't even walk you into your apartment to make sure you're safe to get your clothes for work.
Why aren't you just doing it?
I know.
Protect and serve. No, why aren't you doing it?
Yes.
Then what is the real reason you're a cop? Say it out loud.
Right.
If you're gonna look at Jamie in her eyes and say, too bad you're on your own. We left that. Do you know how inflammatory a piece of paper of a restraining order is?
Oh my God, of course.
And Jamie's telling you, I feel unsafe. Can you please just hang out for 5 minutes?
It would have been safer.
They said no.
I know. And so Jamie says she sits outside her apartment for hours, terrified, not knowing what to do. But then she says, I had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
So she goes inside.
She quietly sneaks into her
own
condo.
apartment. I know. Lays down on the bed, falls asleep.
When I woke up, he was sitting on top of me. He had one hand holding both my arms behind my back, and he started shaving my head with the clippers. Shaved my head bald. And he said, no man will ever look at you or think you're pretty.
No man is ever going to look at you or think you're pretty. So he's trying to take a lot away from Jamie in this moment, but also if he can't have her, nobody can.
Right. And she said, the only thing I could do if I didn't want to get my face smashed was to sit there and be quiet.
She makes the decision in the moment because she's like, I can't reason with him.
Right.
Half of my head is shaved anyway, she says. She goes, the best thing I could possibly do is just be quiet. And now after that, and this is what we mean when it's we do what we can to survive. Yeah. That's why I'm not going to confront the guy in the fucking subway. I'd like to go home.
Exactly. I'd like to survive.
Like to make it to work today or whatever. There's a reason I'm not, you stay, there's so many times where you're just fucking be cool. They're in Jurassic Park, there are T-Rex, if you don't move, they can't see you.
Right.
That's a lot of the feeling of
I know.
Just keep your mouth shut and be quiet. But after that, Jamie's alive, but she's now become this guy's hostage.
This guy's hostage for weeks.
She can't leave the house.
And she's naked. Yep. She says he takes her phone, he takes her clothes, so she can't have anything on her and she can't get away.
And she's naked so she can't hide anything.
Right. And she says when she slept, she was either tied up or he'd sit behind her with a gun to her head.
Yeah.
And this goes on for weeks. And my question is nobody looking for her? Does she not have a job that she didn't show up to? Where are her people?
Yeah, where are her people? I don't know. I mean,
and that makes me sad for her. Maybe she doesn't have any, and that is really fucking sad.
Or he's texting as her. He has her phone.
Right. Oh, God.
So you get a text Jamie girl, where are you?
Yeah.
And then it's, I skipped town, or I this, or my mom is sick. I went back to Minnesota. I don't know.
And she says
3 to 5 days in, he said, I'm going to kill you. And I knew he was. I could see it in his eye, like he was going to kill me.
Said he was going to kill her. And she says, and I knew he would. I could see it in his eyes.
You could see it. So now Jamie is absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
It's September 24th, 2019. She's been in captivity for 8 days.
Like, hasn't left the house, hasn't had clothes on for 8 days.
Things are escalating. The violence is continuing.
She says, I would ask him, why are you doing this? I've been taking care of you for the last year. I've been feeding you. I've just been letting you live in my fucking house. Why are you
Leech
doing
off
this
of
to
me.
me? And then he would say to her, I have to. And then in other moments of clarity, he would say to her, like almost remorsefully, I should go to jail for the rest of my life for what I've done to you.
Yeah, they're going to put me away for what I'm doing to you. And she's
Yeah.
like, okay. So it's October 2nd, 2019. She's been in captivity for 16 days. There's no
Just
food.
the word captivity
I
makes
know.
my skin crawl.
I know. It's disgusting. So there's no food. Jamie's credit cards are maxed out. They need to get to the store to get food for everyone, including Maya.
Including the dog.
So,
which is, I think, the only reason he let them leave. Because he says, she tells him there's no food for the dog, and he's like, let's go to the store.
Right. And also, like, this is another thing that abusers do, too. They'll be super nice to everyone but you.
Yes.
So, like, he was probably incredibly nice to Maya. One, we know that he liked Maya for whatever reason. But, like, think of Jamie naked and bound, and it's like, well, at least he's being nice to the dog.
Yeah.
Like, he would, like, sometimes abusers do that to throw it in your face. Like, he'll be super nice to the drive-through person, but then be screaming at you on the ride home.
Yep.
So, like, I think he was also using Maya as a tactic and, like, as a weapon against Jamie. So Jamie's like, all right, this is my chance.
Yeah, like getting out of that apartment in a car, going to a public place, like this could be her only chance to escape.
Also, Jamie's driving.
Yes.
So they pull into the parking lot, and Ben takes Maya to go to the bathroom.
I unbuckled my seatbelt, and I jumped out of the car really quick. And I ran. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have any money. So I run inside the store, and I'm frantic, and I see someone who works there, and I explain the situation. I said, do you have an office or a room or somewhere I can lock myself into because I need to hide? She said, no, we don't have any office here.
And they don't have an office for her to hide in, but they do have a back door. So she runs out of that.
Yeah, and this is where I'm like so worried for the dog. I'm like, what's going to happen to the dog? But nothing, the dog is fine.
The dog is fine.
Yeah.
Maya is with Jamie during this interview.
Yeah.
So she finds another Good Samaritan in a car, and he's like, are you okay? Like, do you need to go to the hospital?
I mean,
What's going on?
she must have looked, we see her in a minute, like in the hospital on the body cam footage. Like she looked, this woman with like black eyes and a shaved head. And
it's also surreal, like the look she has on her face. I'm not saying it's a joke. Like, she probably never thought she'd be outside again. Like, because when he says to her, do you need to go to the hospital? She's like, oh, yeah, I guess the hospital would be a good idea. Like, she's so traumatized, she doesn't even know what kind of help she's asking for. She's just like kind of can't believe it's all happening.
And it's like, and then like to compound that, we hear the 911 call from the nurse reporting Jamie's, like what has happened to her. And like this woman that she's found in her care. And the woman is saying, the nurse is saying she won't tell me who did this to her. Right. Like she's being treated for broken ribs, 2 black eyes, bruises all over her body. She says she had cauliflower ears. I don't even know what that is.
It happens when you've been hit in the ear and it hasn't been properly treated. So a lot of fighters, like any kind of professional fighter or, someone who's been beaten and doesn't have the proper care, like that's what happens. That's what that is.
And she said she like had damage to her eyes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we see the body cam footage of the cops saying to her, we're going to help you, but you need to tell us who did this to you. And
we're not the same officers who showed up
But
before.
Of course she doesn't trust them. She's like,
of course.
She's like, you're going to hold him for a day or two and he's going to get out and he's going to kill me.
I mean, they allowed her to walk into a kidnapping situation.
Yes.
Because remember, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
The restraining order is what triggered him, and she never left the house again until now. So she's not
this is why
trusting
people don't trust the cops. This is why people don't report the things that happen to them.
It's like those pieces of shit that brought that kid back to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's what it feels like.
Right.
You just sent her into the lion's den.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like how different this would have been if the cop had just walked her in for 5 minutes so she could get her clothes for work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like maybe Ben would have done something in the moment where you're like, oh, I have to do my job now.
Right.
And or just something to make her feel safe.
Or even in the moment, give her like a mental health professional to sit with her and be the liaison between her and the police. The cops were just yelling at her.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So of course she is not trusting them at all. But eventually, like the SWAT team shows up to Jamie's house.
Yeah.
They have a search warrant and an arrest warrant for the guy.
It's wild. Like somehow they get his. However,
they have to bomb him out of the house,
which is just wild.
They had already bombed the place. All the windows were blown out with tear gas. The front door was on the ground in the front lawn. Ben came out holding Maya. One of the officers took her from him and brought her to me, and then they put him in the car.
So they've arrested him on 6 different counts.
Yes.
Kidnapping, resulting in substantial bodily harm, coercion with force, assault, battery, like strangulation. I mean, this guy, like use of a deadly weapon, just horrifying.
Well, and then so we come back to Amber, and Amber sees Ben's face on the news. This mugshot is insane.
Yeah.
He looks so unwell.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't showered in Lord knows how long. He's got that long hair, but he hasn't brushed it.
You can't leave Jamie alone.
No. I mean, like he looks, I would be terrified to look at him.
Now, this also, it just made me incensed. Jamie doesn't want to speak at trial. She should not have to.
Yeah.
There is a ton of evidence against Ben. Videos of Jamie, photos of Jamie, her statement, also what happened to Amber.
Exactly.
She shouldn't have to. But this guy, Steve Wolfson, the DA, cuts a deal with the piece of shit and then blames it on Jamie. He says, if we don't have a willing victim that wants to come to court, we have to do what we can to salvage a conviction.
And
Fuck you.
And he looks in the camera, and she did not want to come to court.
She shouldn't have had to.
How is that the system? How is that the system?
And to say it with just like, well, like those are the breaks, like you're on your own, kid. Like, oh my God.
And just to hear what Jamie is saying, she's like, I can't put myself in a room with him again. Like, nobody can understand the trauma of being somebody's hostage for 3 weeks. And then like having to go and sit and face them in court. What?
Right. After nobody helped her?
How are we asking this of victims? How is it okay to ask her to do that?
Yeah. And Steve Wolfson, DA, you're pretty fucking bad at your job.
Yeah.
If you need her to you had plenty. I could make this case right now. And
How
I'm a
about the
nobody.
video of you having to fucking bomb him out of the apartment?
Yeah.
Is that not enough?
Can you just police Google him? Because Amber's story will come right up. Because they do actually, because the Clark County District Attorney combined the cases of Amber from 2017 and Jamie from 2019.
But he ends up pleading to a lesser domestic violence charge in both cases. This fucking guy gets a max for what he held her prisoner for 3 weeks.
He tried to kill Amber twice.
Yes.
And tried to kill Jamie in captivity for 16 days.
He gets a maximum of 30 months, but gets credit for the 2 years he's already served.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Yeah. He's released from custody in October 2021, 24 months after assaulting Jamie.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, all of this happened in Vegas. How did this evil piece of shit get to Oregon? Because Oregon is where we started.
Exactly.
So now we're back at the beginning, and Justine is our victim, and Angie's the friend trying to save her life.
Yeah. We see the body cam footage of them in the ambulance after they've loaded Justine in. We overhear them saying they're going to intubate her. She's so far gone, they're going to intubate
There was
this
a
woman.
noose around her neck.
Yeah.
So Jamie, our victim, is in the hospital in a coma. The piece of shit is on the run. Everyone's looking for him.
There's a manhunt for him. And everyone in town is terrified.
Yeah.
There's like a killer on the loose.
Like Angie's looking for him, Justine's friends, the cops, the U.S. Marshals, everybody.
So it's January 25th, 2023, one day on the run. We hear the police, like the body cam interview footage with Ben's parents.
Yeah, so it turns out Ben grew up in this area in Oregon. And the police are speaking to his parents, who they claim are very, very helpful.
And they're just very calm. And like they're just saying, like, he came in the night before, grabbed a whole bunch of clothes, took off. The cops, they ask him, how about that new girlfriend, Justine? Does this mean you're moving in with her? And the cop is like, I'm
not going to get into great detail, but Justine is in the hospital. And she is in really, really, really bad shape.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's what happened in Vegas.
Well, this is just like what happened in Vegas. Maybe he went to Vegas. I'm sorry, what?
Like, do they know about the monster that they raised?
If you say 7 reallys, really, really, really bad shape, and your response is that's just like Vegas.
Just like what he did to that girl in Vegas.
No. So he didn't lie and be like, oh, Amber's crazy. These girls are crazy.
Yeah.
I had a bad breakup. No. If you're saying, I mean, they must know he had a record, obviously.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
I will, like, I always say there's nothing that Daisy could ever do to make me not love her, but there are definitely things that she could make me do to make me not fucking talk to her again. Like,
same.
You know what I mean? Like, beating people nearly to death.
Like over and over again and getting away with it. Like, oh my God.
Yes.
So it turns out.
Let me amend that. I will come and visit her once she is safely behind bars. But I am not doing anything to harbor a fucking killer.
I should hope not.
Okay.
We agree.
Okay.
So it turns out Ben is in some desolate area in the woods. He's at the house of Tina Jones. And here's where I'm like, oh my God, all the dogs turned on Ben. Because the police have dogs. The dogs alerted on the house. And then Tina's dogs are also barking. They're barking back to the police. They're like, this son of a bitch is here. Tell the humans.
I know.
We got him. The dogs turned on Ben.
That's funny because I kind of took it the other way. I thought the dogs were being kind of dicks because Tina's dogs, what happens is like the U.S.
The dogs
Marshals
are being perfect in every way.
Well, I know. Okay, strike it from the record.
Okay.
But the U.S. Marshals are hiding in the woods doing surveillance, and Tina's dogs are barking at them, like kind of letting Ben know that there's people out there to get him.
I think the dogs are talking to each other. I think they're like, wait. At first, they're probably
He's
like,
in here. He's in here.
Yeah,
we got him.
At first, they're probably like, this is a weird scent on our property. Who the fuck? Oh, it's you. Oh my God, girl, no, tell your people that he's here. No. We don't like him.
This is another point too where the cops start really leaning into the cop speak.
Ben begins doing counter surveillance. He climbed up on the roof of Tina's house with a set of binoculars. Then he came down and started doing ground property checks and ultimately spots one of the surveillance guys that are in the bushes and then takes off running.
So he does, quote, counter surveillance.
He's sitting on Tina's roof with binoculars.
Right. He then does a, quote, property checks.
Okay.
He ends up seeing...
What does that mean? He looks around?
Exactly. He sees one of the surveillance guys in the bushes and he takes off.
Yeah, he runs again. The cops lose him. He's in the wind. Great job, everybody.
To which I'm literally like, how sophisticated was this mission?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like you guys are hiding in the bushes.
You guys want to arrest Amber again while you're at it? Or like, how many fuck-ups are we doing today?
No, I know. No, 100%.
And these are the Oregon cops. So honestly, like, the fuckery knows no bounds today.
Right.
Also, who the fuck is Tina?
No, I know.
Who is Tina?
I know. We see Tina. We learn that Tina's like a church friend of the family.
She's, right. So she was helping him.
Yeah.
But she's like, I don't know why. Tina, yes, he did.
Right.
He had a go bag ready. He had all this cash.
Which he didn't have on him when he goed. You know what I mean?
When he
goed without the bag.
And he's like, So the go bag had to, because he was doing counter surveillance, which is sitting on the roof with binoculars. Again, they're never that smart.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Never.
Take your go bag with you.
Exactly.
When you go.
If you're going to be on, like, it's a little bag. Have it on you at all times.
Well, I don't know how little it is because he has tons of cash in it. Lots of phones that are all wrapped in tinfoil. A laptop that's wrapped in tinfoil. And it's a way to block the signal.
Do you think we should get Jamie Peterson to explain it all away?
Look, yeah. I'm like, what about those pesos?
Janie, tell us what you think, girl.
Or the map to Amber Fry's place of business.
Exactly.
Or like just a ton of shit to live on the run for an extended period of time.
Also the orange hair. I don't know.
Okay, was it the pool? Was it the chlorine?
Right.
Was he hiding from the press? Also, he didn't have golf clubs when he was going golfing. Okay. Whatever. So he's super paranoid, right? Because he has all of these phones and these laptops, but they're all covered in foil to hide the signal.
Does that work?
The cop seems to think it might. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I've never done it.
Right. We'll probably never need to. Here's something we never need to know.
It'll explode. Like, is my phone a microwave? I don't understand.
Totally.
But one of the phones shows he was on the dating apps. So either he was trying to use women to get away, or he was like luring and targeting women to abuse.
Yeah, that is terrifying. So he's like on the lam, and Jamie, remember Jamie was the one that was the prisoner for 3 weeks?
Yeah.
She gets a call from Ben's brother, alerting her that Ben is on the run.
He was crying, and he said, I'm sorry that I never believed anything he said. And he told me
I didn't want to believe any of it was true, but I know that you weren't lying now because he just did it to somebody else.
I do not accept your apology.
I don't accept it either.
No. But Amber and Jamie, who both live in Vegas, are now terrified. Like, our friends Amber and Jamie are scared that this piece of shit is running to get them again.
Of course.
Because,
I mean, how would you not live every day of your life
because
in
now
fear?
he's got nothing to lose, right?
Exactly.
There's a manhunt. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't trust this guy. So he's on the run for 6 days. Now the cops talk to Tina, who's in custody.
She's like in prison.
And he shows up to her house like a teenager, and he's like, I got in a fight with my parents. Can I please stay? And she's like, you know what? We all go to the same church. Absolutely.
Right. And she said she didn't know he was on the run from law enforcement. The most important thing to know here is that while Tina's like in prison, she's got a guy named Richard Barron taking care of her dogs.
Right.
The cops call and check in with him. He's like, I'm happy to take care of the dogs. And the cops are like, if you see something, say something.
Yeah. If
give
you
us
see
a call.
this creep, like, call us.
Just remember that name.
So the next day, the cops get a tip. And a taxi driver called the cops and said, hey, someone named Richard Barron called me for a ride. But the cab driver was like, I know Richard.
Yeah.
And he's, sorry,
old.
Richard, but he's like an older guy. The caller.
There's nothing wrong with being old.
I'm just saying, I got in trouble for saying the word elderly once, and it stuck with me forever.
Oh, fam, we're doing our best
I
over
was like,
here.
I don't know what age you become elderly.
I'm basically elderly.
I mean, I think the Golden Girl, like, I don't understand. The Golden Girls are supposed to be these elderly women.
Oh,
They're
I know.
like 54
They're
in
in
the
their
episode.
50s.
It's ridiculous.
I
The disservice they did. I'm like, 54 is the new 20. What are you, out of your mind?
I know.
God. Anyway, so the cab driver knew that Richard was an older man, and he's like, the caller did not sound like Richard. He sounded like a young guy.
And he knew, the cab driver knew about the manhunt, so he's like, this is probably your guy, get up here.
This is really weird, and like, what's going on with Richard?
Hero cab driver, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do any of this. Good for you, sir.
Again, and like, let's just say nothing came of it. What's the harm of making that phone call?
I agree.
He didn't go to 100. He was like, this feels weird. My gut is screaming at me. You make a phone call. That's all. That's all it takes. So the cops go to Richard Barron's house.
Because remember, the cab driver was like, that's not Richard. You should also probably do a welfare check on Richard, make sure he's okay.
Because he's an old guy.
Yeah.
So the cops go to Richard Barron's house.
They found Richard deceased, and then they also found his caretaker, Donald Griffith. They were both deceased in the living room.
We suspect that Ben had broken in and held them hostage while he was there hiding.
They had both violently been beaten.
So, like, the police theorized that Ben had broken in, held them hostage for a couple of days, and then killed them to, like, steal his ID or whatever.
Right. So they track Ben down at Justine's house. Justine is our victim from the beginning, right?
Yes.
So they track Ben down at her house because yet another cab company was used. So between like the cab company and surveillance, like they track him down.
Yes.
And this guy is holding a little white dog. So they're trying to get the piece of shit out of the house.
So, like, now we should say a SWAT team shows up at Justine's house. There's fucking
They
tanks.
have tanks.
There's, like, all of these police, they're, like, on the bullhorns being like, Ben, come out.
Right.
We have like, they know he's in there.
And they're doing this as they're waiting for the search warrant to come in.
Yeah.
Just killing time. And they finally get the search warrant and they go into the house.
Yeah.
Now, Ben is not in the house.
And we're seeing the body cam footage. They are truly mystified because they've, like, basically saw him go in. Mm-hmm. So they're like, where the fuck is this guy?
The dogs are like, hold our water bowl. They literally sniff him out because Ben is underneath the house.
He's in the crawl space.
They sniff him out. So he's surrounded. He has a gun.
And they can see him moving down there. Like, they really know it's him.
Yeah. And as he's surrounded, he has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
They hear a gunshot.
And we hear it. They play it for us.
We hear it. And he shoots and kills himself. And Angie, and also all of us, she goes, you know what, good.
I have a lot of people say to me, oh, he took the easy way out and he killed himself. And I'm like, he's right where he belongs. He's burning in hell.
He's burning in hell.
Yeah.
And then.
I know. This is great.
Justine is here.
Yeah.
Justine is not a victim. She's a fucking survivor.
And it's a major reveal. Like, she didn't die. She's here.
I did that, like, gasp cry.
Me too.
Burst into tears. Like, Justine is here with us to tell her story.
Yes. And she says, the first thing she says, torture is an understatement of what I went through.
So Justine tells her story. She was hanging out with Ben for 2 months total. Like, this was not a long time.
She describes it as a casual relationship.
They worked together at the bar.
Exactly.
So she's like, yeah, no red flags. Like, he was nothing but nice to me. Again, it's been 2 months. Like, we're kind of just like hooking up. We work together. We're hooking up, whatever. But one day, Ben shows up to Angie, best friend Angie, who called 911.
Yep.
Shows up to Angie's house asking for clean urine. And I think that's when Angie met this guy.
Right.
And Justine's like, we don't have any here. Like, bye. The minute he walks away, she's like, I'm Googling him immediately because, like, you only are asking someone else for clean urine if you were trying to get away with something.
Yeah.
But, like, he wouldn't tell her what the deal was. And she and Angie are, like, Googling
She
for
Googs
Jesus.
him like the cops in Vegas should have done. All of his shit comes up right away. She sees how violent he's been with all of these other people. And she goes to the boss and she's like, we can't have a guy like this working here.
Absolutely not. So the boss fires Ben.
Yeah.
But now...
Like, let's slip that it was Justine that told the boss the information.
And I think he probably put it together. Like, there's no way we could have protected him from knowing Justine. Like, I think it's like, well, he asked Justine for the urine and then suddenly he's fired.
My thing is, like, don't you Google every new person you meet? Like, I do. You know what I mean? It's
especially if they're asking you, can you do me a solid?
100%. So anyway.
I was bartending once and someone was like, can you keep this box in your closet for me? And I was like, absolutely not.
What are you talking
about?
This,
like, locked little wooden box. I was like, nope. Get out. Like, absolutely not. Get out.
Out.
Are you kidding?
Oh my God.
Can
That's
you
wild.
can't even tell you about this guy, the stories of this guy,
Oh
please.
my God.
But I was like, nope. And he's like, come on.
No.
Like, I'm the asshole. I was like, 100% no.
Oh my God.
1,000, a million times no. Never even, absolutely
Don't
not.
speak to me ever again.
I hated him.
Well, so Justine is saying that he found out that it was me, so she had to stop hanging out with him. She says 1 month later, she gets home. He'd been there waiting for her all day in her garage. The scene as she describes it.
I just remember sitting on my couch and him coming out of my garage and just started beating me. He said, I got him fired. Ben held me captive and basically kidnapped me. It was almost 3 days. He just beat me and beat me and beat me and beat me.
She says he beat me and beat me and beat me and beat me.
Yeah.
She says he beat me so bad that I have a traumatic brain damage.
She has traumatic brain damage because of this. Now, Angie and her mother saved Justine's life, and Justine tells us that directly. And Justine is describing hearing Angie's voice through the door, like that moment of thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then you hear your best friend's voice of thinking, but then also thinking like she's so far away. She's on the other side of the door. That's the farthest anyone's ever been from anyone else again. And I just I'm so moved by this. I was when she sat down, I was like, oh my God, she's not a victim. She's a fucking survivor. And I just want to say, God, law enforcement here fucking sucked.
Yes.
They really, they all did these women such a disservice. Nobody took them seriously. Nobody, for Jamie to be like, well, can you just stay for 5 minutes so I can get ready for work? And they said no.
People died. Amber says, basically the moral of the story here is that if the police had taken Amber's and Jamie's story more seriously, they could have prevented what happened to Justine and they could have saved 2 lives.
Right. And what did he do? I mean, he didn't start like this.
Right.
What other states was he in?
Exactly.
How many people did he hurt? How many women's lives did he destroy in one way or another before we got here? Because you know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course.
So they just they allowed him to create this path of destruction.
And you see it over and over again. Just if the Nevada police had just that one time looked up Amber's story when they arrested Amber instead of arresting the guy. You know what I mean? It's just there's so many opportunities to do the right thing that get missed.
And the police department and the DA declined to be interviewed.
Of course.
Of course they did. And so it's just Justine's amazing, Amber amazing, Jamie, Angie's mom, Maya the dog. All of these women are fucking incredible.
And this piece of shit is dead.
And he's dead. So we just want to say here at the end, because they have this little title card at the end.
Yeah.
If you or someone you know has experienced domestic abuse, information and resources are available at wannatalkaboutit.com. This is a really comprehensive, good website. This is also on, you've seen this on other Netflix shows before. Wanna Talk About It is a great place to go.
Yeah.
Reach out to your friends, let people know what's happening. It's okay if you're too scared to do it. I'm not judging how or when you get to that point, but no one is gonna laugh or judge you or say I told you so.
We just need to keep reiterating that in every episode. Just A, check on your friends, and B, if you have something to tell.
Tell. We'll be there for you.
Oh my God, girl, we did worst ex ever. Oh my God.
Yeah, so we will be sprinkling these because they're full-length documentaries.
They really are. They're long.
They're
they're very well made. They're a little hard to watch.
They're tough. But again, these stories need to be told.
Yes.
Love these women.
Fam, once again, if you are on the Patreon or you would like to join the Patreon to be on our drag bingo on Wednesday, October 23rd, my costume is on fire. GP's costume is on fire. You can come in costume if you want to. You don't have to.
Yeah.
We've got the amazing schwa. Drag bingo is the funnest night of the week.
Fun. It is so
funnest
much
night of the
fun.
month.
It is. It's so much fun.
It's so great.
Join us, won't you?
And if you do join the Patreon, then you get over 450 full ad-free bonus episodes as well. You get ad-free versions of these episodes as well.
Yeah.
There's a tier, the Hero Bell tier, where we make episodes just for them. We've been making some old school Unsolved Mysteries episodes just for the Hero Bell tier.
We're talking about Bigfoot and UFOs, stuff we don't really cover on the regular feed.
And on the $7 tier at the after party, we've been covering cases we haven't covered on the show. So you're getting a full GP or PH produced documentary.
Yeah.
That's just us telling the story.
Just a little bit.
What are we doing next, girl?
We are doing Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter.
Woof.
So this is absolutely incredible. Very, 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 very beyond highly requested.
Yeah.
But it's another two-parter. So we're going to be doing it in 2 episodes. And we know we just did a 2-parter, but you really want us to do it. And we don't know how else to cover it except doing it this way.
There's just no other way to do it. We were going to do it later on to not bombard you with 2-parters, but you all wanted it. So we moved it up. GP and Natalie worked their magic, moved the calendar around to make it. So we're going to do that thing where episode 1 will be on the regular feed, episode 2 will be on Patreon, and then episode 2 will be on the regular feed the following week.
Yeah, and the people in my DMs who I've told that, they're like, the sooner the better, we don't give a shit.
I know.
So you really want it, and it's an excellent documentary, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so stay tuned for the trailer for that, and we love you.
We love you.
All right,
Stay safe.
that's it.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.
She'd been missing 21 years when they finally found me. I was only 17 years old when I put my daughter up for adoption. Throughout my life, she was always in my mind. When I found out she'd went missing, I thought, I gotta find this kid alive. I don't care if I have to walk over God's green earth to do it. If I couldn't do anything else for her, I was gonna do this.